Good morning. So today I read the book of Jonah in my morning Bible study, and I just wanted to talk about some of the things that really stood out to me today. So just a quick overview of the book of Jonah for anyone that might not know. So Jonah was a prophet in Israel, the northern kingdom of Israel, around 750 BC. And God told him to go to Nineveh, which was in Assyria, which were enemies of Israel. They were pretty vile people. And Jonah did not like that nation, Nineveh, at all. And he didn't want to go. So he tried to run from God, essentially taking a boat the opposite direction. And once he was in the boat, big waves and a big storm came, and the people on the boat, the people managing the boat, were praying to different gods as they were not Israelites. And they went to Jonah, they cast lots, went to Jonah and said, you know, what is it? What's going on? Jonah said, this is from my God, this is my fault, go ahead and throw me over. And the sailors, this is one point that I thought was really interesting, the sailors were just in awe of Jonah's utter lack of respect for his God, who he knew clearly was the creator of the winds and the sea and everything, and Jonah was running from him. So they were in awe that he was being so disrespectful to God, and they actually asked God's forgiveness for throwing him into the sea because they didn't want his wrath upon them, is my assumption. That's not listed in there. So anyway, Jonah is thrown into the sea. He's swallowed up by a big fish, which, you know, many people say is a whale. And he is in the belly of that fish for 3 days. And he says a prayer to God, not exactly in repentance, but in respect of, you know, who God is and what he has done. And the fish spits Jonah out onto the shore, and God tells Jonah again to go to Nineveh and preach about God in Nineveh. So Jonah goes reluctantly and basically says, you know, one sentence: in 40 days, this nation, Nineveh, will be overturned, which could mean, you know, either overturned governmentally, you know, or overturned, you know, in their hearts. So the king and all of the people repented. They put on sackcloth. They fasted. Even the livestock fasted and asked God for forgiveness, and God forgave them. And that made Jonah really, you know, angry. And he said, you know, I didn't want to go to Nineveh because I knew you are a compassionate God and you were going to forgive them. And Jonah hated these people so much that he didn't even want forgiveness for them. And so basically the book ends by God saying, like, well, you know, why shouldn't I be compassionate to the people that I created, essentially? So a couple of things that I took away from that is, you know, these sailors and these Ninevites, neither of whom were followers of God. They weren't Israelites. They weren't, you know, part of God's family, essentially. God had this compassion for them, and they had this respect and this awe of God that Jonah, who was an Israelite, a prophet of God, who heard from God and God spoke to, he didn't even have that same awe and respect. So it just made me think, like, sometimes we are so close to something that we treat it with less respect than a stranger. For example, have you ever, you know, been very polite to maybe someone you met in the store, or someone that, you know, a coworker even that you're not that familiar with, but to your own family, your own spouse, or your own children, you're rude and just, you know, kind of disrespectful or not as loving or as kind. But again, to a stranger or someone that you don't know as well, you're very polite, you're always courteous and things like that. I know that I have been guilty of that myself. So it just made reading Jonah today just made me think of that. Like sometimes we're so close to someone or something that we lose our awe for it, we lose our respect, we lose that just great love that we have for it, even though like in our hearts we know like I love my spouse, I love my kids, obviously, but we just lose that respect, I think, sometimes for them. And that's what I was thinking reading through Jonah, is just that maybe he was so close to God that he just kind of lost sight of how great God is and how big he is and how wonderful he is. And yes, he knew he was a compassionate God, and that's why he didn't want to go to Nineveh, because he knew God would be compassionate and forgive these people, but he did not want to extend that same forgiveness and that same compassion. So again, I'm just thinking in my own life just how I don't want to lose sight of that respect and that kindness and that compassion for people that are closest to me. Not to say that I don't want to give that to strangers. I do want to do that as well, but I also don't want to lose sight of giving that to the people that I love the most in my life. So what can I do to remember that even though these people are close and they do get the worst of me, they should also get the best of me, because I do love them that much. So what I can do is just to be conscious. First of all, awareness is huge. So be conscious of what I'm doing, how I'm acting, what I'm saying to these people. Am I pouring in my love and respect to my spouse, to my children, or am I giving them sort of the last bits of me because I've been giving so much to other people throughout the day? And I know that can be a struggle, especially if you're in, you have a high demand job, or if you're in any kind of like care or service industry. You're just giving and giving and giving to people all day, and then you get home and you feel like you have nothing left to give. I just want to encourage you to take some time to remember that the people that you live with are the people that you love the most, that they're closest to you, and they deserve just as much respect and kindness that you extend to the other people that you deal with all day. So maybe just take a few moments to put yourself into prayer, maybe on your drive home from work, or those few minutes, take a bathroom break or something away from your kids, and take those moments to just refocus and recenter on God. The love and compassion that he's given to you, he wants you to give that to other people as well. So hopefully that helps, and I hope you have a great day.